What were those people at Woodstock 99 really playing in when they were rolling around in all that mud? Let's talk about it. So at Woodstock 99, there was the whole mud people and the mud situation that went down. I did not get involved in any of the mud stuff. I knew better. When I was at Woodstock 99, I think it was on Saturday, on the second day, there was definitely mud issues that were happening, but it hadn't rained or anything like that. So like, where did all this mud come from? People were playing in it. At one point I remember I was walking away from the main stage here behind me, and I was walking back towards the actual vendor kind of area where you get food and stuff. And on the way, there were people, a lot of people, throwing clumps of mud. Like the mud was like raining down like bombs and grenades from the sky, and you literally had to dodge every which way that you went to avoid getting hit by the hunks of mud. People were relishing in the fact that it was like a snowball fight with giant clumps of grass and mud. It was pretty out of control. Now, this was near the main stage area. Like, you know, as you walked away from this main stage here behind me, you would eventually get your first big section of porta potties that were set up. And down the hill, you can see where this is going, down the hill from the porta potties was the large grassy field area that was suddenly a giant puddle. And people figured, hey, let's do the Woodstock mud thing. There's all this water down here, this big puddle that's formed, and let's like start running and sliding and playing in the mud. So the mud people began, and they started playing in the mud. But it was very, very obvious to me that it hadn't rained all weekend. So where'd the mud come from? You could clearly see that the liquid was coming from the big section of porta potties that are disgustingly overflowing. And I'm sure maybe some of it came from, you know, they always talk about the broken pipes that created the water and the mud, you know, at Woodstock 99 from around the porta potty areas. But there are many, many, many porta potty sites all throughout Woodstock 99, obviously, right? There's more than just one. So you know, this mud people and the mud stuff happened in many, many different locations. But today, I'm talking about the mud that was close to the main stage. You know, as you went back from the main stage, back and behind the sound tower and everything, there was a section of field that was turned into mud. Now, I could clearly see that when you look up the hill from like the direction that the water is coming from, it's all coming from the back of these giant row of porta potties. Now, on the back of some of these porta potties, there are portable septic tanks. Great big white plastic containers, only a foot or two off the ground, but you know, like 4 foot by 4 foot probably at least, if not larger. Giant portable septic containers. If you Google it, you can find what they look like. Anyways, it seemed to me that they had them connected to the urinal in the porta potty. So anytime you did number one, it all drained down a separate hose into this separate collection tank in behind the back, you know, so that way the porta potty is not going to overfill or fill up too fast or anything like that. So I could clearly see one of these porta potties on the septic holding tank thing, the hose that came off, and everything that was in that tank had drained out and run directly down this hill with any other liquids that were coming from the porta potty area, and had formed this giant puddle that now people were playing in. So right away, it was pretty obvious to me that it was pee-pee mud, if not pee-pee and poo-poo mud. Like, who knows? It was all pretty bad. It didn't rain. That's all I have to say, is it didn't rain. So people that were playing in the mud, like, what were they thinking? I don't think they were. They were like, they've been drinking and doing Lord knows what else, and people just weren't thinking about what's in the mud. How did this mud get here? It was clearly all from the porta potties. It was either from the broken pipes, just the overflowing generalness of overfilled porta potties. I clearly saw with my own eyes that the leaking septic tank in behind the porta potties had totally, the hose came off. This thing had been full of pee, and that all drained downhill, and that's what now people were running and sliding and playing in. So I know in the Woodstock 99 documentaries it talks about how it was probably more fecal matter that was in the mud, but as far as I'm concerned, it was probably more pee-pee than anything that made up this mud. And the mud people, I don't know what they were thinking. I have no idea, but I knew what was going on, and I knew I wasn't getting anywhere near that mud. Like, that's the closest I came to it, was the rain shower of bombs and grenades of mud that I had to kind of walk past at one point, as a lot of people were all throwing the mud at the same time. So it was just a complete onslaught of chunks of mud falling down out of the sky. And if you walked anywhere near that area, you might not only have been hit by a piece of very disgusting mud, it could have seriously hurt you, because they were like big chunks like this. I remember seeing they were just ripping up the grass and all the dirt that came with it, great big chunk, and just throwing it. Not very smart people, but these are the same people that were playing in it. So need I say any more? If you were one of the people at Woodstock 99 that were playing in the mud, blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on anything, because anybody with any clear sense knew not to get involved in the mud at Woodstock 99. Anyways, I just wanted to make this quick video, guys, and let you know about the Woodstock 99 mud people and my personal experience of what I witnessed and what I saw. And yeah, it was pee.